Tonight we have Miss Amy here with us. She is with 211 Texas United Way Helpline. She's here with us tonight to talk about information of how to go about getting resources from them of different items that you might need. Amy, if you want to officially introduce yourself.
Sure. So I am the outreach and disaster coordinator. And so my job is to teach people about 211 Texas. I do trainings, I speak at meetings. I'm kind of the intermediate person between the community all the way up to my bosses. So I send out resources as I get them so that they can get put into our database. So I'll be the one teaching training tonight. Would you like me to go ahead and begin for the sake of time? Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen. Just give me 1 second, make sure I pull up the right one. Okay, here we go. All right. Do y'all see my screen now? The PowerPoint? Okay, good to go. Okay, perfect. So 211 Texas is basically, we connect people with services in the community. I cover 8 counties, including Erath, Hood, Johnson, Palo Pinto, Parker, Somerville, Tarrant, and Wise counties. And basically the best way to think about 211 is that we're a dialing code designated by the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, for information and referrals. It's one call to connect people to many services. It's free to call us. We answer 24/7, 365 days a year. We have staff that speak English as well as Spanish. And we also have access to a language line where we have access to be able to speak to people in over 150 languages. So we can help out with some of those people that speak like Arabic or Urdu or Chinese or Vietnamese. And basically the best way to think about 211 is if you need some sort of information or resource and you don't know who has that information, it would be us. We have resources for so many things. Our database is very extensive. We're supposed to update our database at least once a year, but because we want to be on our A game and doing what's right by the community, we actually update our database once every 6 months. So we do it twice a year. We are nationally accredited by the Alliance of Information and Referral Systems, and that is the organization that's in charge of overseeing anybody who's giving out information and referrals in this country. So 211 covers 95% of the United States, including the entire state of Texas. And we are also in Canada. So yes, we do like North Texas and Coastal Bend and Gulf Coast for the United Way that I work for, but there's coverage over the whole state and most of the United States as well. So it's good for anybody out of state also needing help. So they've split Texas into 25 different regions. So just so that you know, though, like I mentioned, I work in North Central Texas in Fort Worth, and then I have colleagues in Gulf Coast as well as Coastal Bend down there along the coast. I mentioned I cover 8 counties. So what happens when somebody calls 211? They'll be prompted to hear 211 Texas, press 1 for English or 2 for Spanish, and then they'll be asked for a service selection. So most people who call us are needing help, so they will choose information and referrals. So that's what we get the most of. If you are needing help with any sort of government programs, including Medicaid, Texas Assistance for Needy Families, or the SNAP food benefits, it would be option 2. Option 3 is the Office of the Inspector General. So if anybody wants to report any fraud or has any complaints, it would be option 3. The option 4, it deals with disasters, which I will get to later on in the presentation. So the State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registry deals with that, and that's option 4. And then because we currently are still dealing with COVID is considered a disaster. So we have option 6 open on the line right now. So that's going to be anybody who wants help with like COVID information. Like, I heard this, is it true or is it not true? We do a lot of like rumor control, but we also have the vaccine sites, the testing sites, and that kind of COVID information. And then you have option 8, which is anything regarding mental health. So if someone is looking for a low cost, free, or sliding scale option for therapy or group therapy, or they are suffering from some sort of addiction that they want to get treated, or if they need a behavioral health hospital, option 8 will be the one that they will want to choose when they call in. So people who answer the phones are absolutely amazing. They wear their heart on their sleeves. I'm very privileged to be able to work with people who I can tell really care and all they want to do is help people. They are very well trained. So they're listening to what the help seeker is saying that they're needing so that we get them those needed resources. But then they're also taking a look at kind of the overall picture about what the help seeker is describing. And they may offer resources that maybe that help seeker didn't know that they needed. So they're caring individuals. They're just like you and I, and they're definitely nobody that someone should be afraid of. It's the complete opposite, to be quite honest. So this is one of the most important slides. So what kinds of things can we help with? So we have information for basic needs such as housing, rent and mortgage assistance if someone's struggling to pay that right now, especially in the times of COVID. We have food resources. We have clothing resources. We can help give people resources to help pay their electric bill or their water bill, just those everyday things that we need just to be able to survive. Then you have criminal justice and legal services. So this is kind of an extensive category, but this would be if someone's involved in the criminal justice system and they want to know what their rights are as a victim and they want to get connected, that would be a good one to use for the legal side. This is going to be like your legal clinics who do free, low cost or sliding scale services. This would also maybe be someone who is in a domestic violence situation and they need resources of how to get out and how legally they can do that and get help. This is also going to be somebody who maybe is getting evicted from their apartment. They want to fight the landlord on it. That would be also that legal route. Then we have healthcare. So this is an extensive category. This is going to be walk-in clinics or, just community clinics that do free, low cost or sliding scale work. This could also be someone who is needing a wheelchair or a cane or some sort of medical device that they can't afford, or they have a loved one who is in need of something like that. This could also be helping with any prescription costs that someone's not able to cover, and much more. Then you have mental health care and counseling. So like I mentioned, this would be any sort of therapy that someone might be needing, addiction treatment, needing to go to a behavioral health hospital to be treated for like depression, anxiety, suicide, whatever the case may be. Then you have senior services and veteran services. So we actually have dedicated staff members that are on teams. One team works only with older adults all day long because we know that older adults may have physical needs that need to be met. They may have mental health needs that may need to be met. And they may need like in-home health care because maybe they're homebound and they need somebody checking in on them. So we have a team that works specifically with that population of people. Then we have a different team that works with veterans, active duty military, because we also know that veterans and active duty military, they may need employment when they leave the military. They may have an addiction. They may need help with housing. They may need help with food. So because those two populations often have multiple needs, we have teams designated for them. Then we also work disaster services. So if, God forbid, we have something happen where there's like a tornado or a flood or some sort of major windstorm around here that does a lot of damage, or I'm hoping to God we don't have another winter storm like we had last year because that was just incredibly terrible and terrifying. But in the instances that those things happen, we will have the sites of water distribution, the sites of where food is being handed out. If someone needs a warming center because they're homeless and they have nowhere to go and they want to get out of the cold, we will have that information. Or if a disaster happens and they have no home to go to because it was leveled or destroyed, there will be shelter options in place that we have resources for if we have those up and running at the time. So I do want to say with disasters, the day of the disaster, we don't know where it's going to hit, when it's going to hit most of the time. We just have a general area. So sometimes it takes a day or two for us to get those disaster resources because we need to figure out where it hit, where we can set up a shelter. Our options, are they still there or have they been harmed in some way? So what were the top needs in North Texas for 2021? So the top needs in this area for 2021 were utility assistance programs at about 67,000 calls, food programs at about 60,228, rent and mortgage assistance and medical care. For 2021, I pulled the numbers a little bit earlier today. There are a lot of people just needing assistance just in cash in some sort of payment because their checks are not covering what they're needing, or they don't have an income coming in. So just kind of general funds. Medical care is also up there along with like rent and housing and mortgage assistance. So like I mentioned, we do disaster responses, including COVID-19, which is considered a disaster. And I'm going to go over the state of Texas emergency assistance registry in just a minute. But if there's that shelter reception center being set up, we will have that information. Any government programs that get put into place in the area where the disaster occurred, we will have that information. And we, like I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of reassurance and rumor control because we want to set the record straight as to what is really going on in our community. So people can call us in with things that they heard to see if that's actually happening or if it's not. And we just want people to know that we're also here for the long-term recovery. So we have information to try and get people's homes put back together if needed as well. So what is the State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registry? So it's a free program in the state of Texas, and it's meant for people who have a handicap. They may be a senior citizen, they may be developmentally delayed, and these are the people that we need to go check on during a disaster or before a disaster happens when we know that one is headed our way. So if we know a major storm is about to hit somewhere like a winter storm, they will go knock on those doors and say, hey, do you have food? Do you have water? If you need to evacuate, do you know how to do that? Do you have the transportation, or do you have the help that you would need to evacuate? So we can help register people through 211, or people can go to this website and sign themselves up for that STEER registry. And like I had mentioned earlier, when I was going through the call options, it's option number 4 when you call in. So I'm going to skip over these calls just because they take a lot of time. Okay. So the best way to reach 211 is you can just dial 211, just like you would 911, except 211. Or if you have somebody who is out of state and they're wanting resources for someone that lives in the state of Texas, that's what that 877 number is for. So the 877-541-7905. And like I mentioned earlier, we answer 24/7. So even if someone is having a crisis at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning when many people are sleeping, we are answering those lines, and we do have overnight staff. You can also go to 211texas.org and search our website, and I will show that to you if I have time. But basically, you put in the need that you have, and it will give you different options that have that word in it, like food pantries. And then you can search it by your zip code because we want to get you those resources that are closest to you. You can also email us at help@unitedwayhouston.org. And then there's also even a chat feature on our website as well. So let me take you to this, and hopefully you can see it if I move it over. Just a second, let me get out of this. And then here we go. Do you see the blue bonnets now? Okay, perfect. So let me lower this so I can see it. So up here in the right-hand corner is the chat feature, so you can reach us this way. But what you're going to do is when you go to our website, if you're looking for something, you're going to type in the main thing that you're needing. So, and I'm at 211texas.org. That's the website. So I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to use where I live. I'm in West Fort Worth. So if I put in food, like I mentioned, it's going to populate with different options. So you can just read through those options and see which one suits the best for what you're needing. I'm just going to do a food pantry. And then I live in zip code 76108. So you'll want to put in your zip code so we can find things closest to you. And then you're going to hit search. Now give it a minute because there's a lot of resources in here, and it's going to kind of pick through all of them to find the ones closest to you for what you're needing. Then what you're going to want to do is kind of just read through some of these resources. And then when you kind of decide which one you want to look at, you're going to click on it. And then, like I said, you got to give it a minute so it can pull up everything. The resource will list there up here. It'll give you the agency. It'll give you a description of what this agency does. So this one provides a food pantry with non-perishable food items, and they also have some hygiene products. So that's good to know. And they do not provide any sort of financial assistance. So all of what is offered will differ by organization. It gives you the websites and how they can be contacted through email. It will give you the address of where you can go, and it will give you the program hours. So you also want to make sure that if you're pulling up a resource that you're available during their time. So if you work on Thursday from 1 to 3, this is not going to be a good option for you, and you need to go back to the list and find another option that will work for you. It's also going to give you the eligibility requirements. So some organizations will work with anybody and everybody. Some of them only want to work with US citizens. Some of them, like I said, don't care and they'll work with anybody, but you want to check the eligibility to make sure that you're eligible. And then you're also going to want to check the documents required. So when you go to work with this resource, you're going to want to make sure that you take the information here that they've listed with you, because they're going to verify it and check it, and they're going to want to have that information on hand. Now, the thing that will make this a little bit easier for you is right here, there's an option that says print to PDF. So what this will do is it will download the information from the resource so that you don't have to write all of it down. So just click make PDF and then give it a minute. And then it's going to say download. So you're going to hit download. And then the resource will pull up with all of the information. You can download it to your computer by hitting this little arrow here. Or you can print it out on a printer if you have it. And you also have the option to email it as well once it's been downloaded. So just know that this is a really good way to get around the website. Okay, let me see.
That's very nice, because I did use 211 when COVID hit. I would write down everything. I didn't realize I could hit that little button.
Yep, that's why they have me, because my job is to teach you guys all the things that you need to know. So that's good for, just to know in general. But I'm just kind of wrapping up for the sake of time. But let me go ahead and pull up my contact information. And I'm going to say this, I am not the database guru. I'm just going to say it. I'm not very good at finding things in the database just because I do trainings and I sit in a lot of community meetings. So if you need something, please call 211 and speak with one of my coworkers. They will take really good care of you. Or you can go to that 211 Texas, TEXAS.org, 211 TEXAS.org, and search like I just showed you. But if you need help and you need me to go back to the website and show you how to use it or whatever, I'm happy to do that. So here is my contact information. And like I said, I'm stationed out of Fort Worth. And I also want to mention that if you're a member of a church group or a parent group and you want me to come teach this training, I would be happy to do that. Or if you're having like a community event, you want me to come set up a table and talk to people, I will do that too. I'm not really doing really big events right now because of COVID, if there's going to be like hundreds of people there. But if there's going to be like a handful of people, I don't mind showing up to a smaller event. And then hopefully once we get COVID under control, I can be at bigger events. I'm counting down the days because I'm ready to get out of this house. But there's my email and my telephone number. That 682 number will ring. It's my work cell phone. It's right here. It will ring directly to me. So you won't have to go through some sort of automated, whatever to get a person on the phone. You can also reach me by email. I check it every single day, often multiple times during the day. So you will get a quick response if I'm in office. So